Good morning to everybody in Obsessed Land. It is Thursday, and around here we call it Thirsty Thursday because we usually start drinking wine at around about 3 o'clock. So, hot tip. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are just tuning in, we have an amazing, multifaceted, multidimensional woman here with us called Kate Toon, and she's going to be talking to us today about, well, all sorts of things, really. It's what we do here. We just kind of talk about, history, past, present, and everything in between. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kate.
It's lovely to be here. You wouldn't believe it, but I did actually do my hair this morning, but then went out in the rain, and this is why I look like I've slept in a bin. I haven't slept in a bin.
Beautiful. I love it. It's great. So tell us a little bit about, obviously we've just been chatting off air. Tell us a little bit, because you have an accent, and a lot of people go, oh, she's English, but you've been here for quite a while. Tell us what brought you to the wonderful land of Australia.
To the wonderful land of Oz. Well, I came here when I was about, I think, 24. It's all a blur. You were asking me before the show, when did you do this? And I'm like, I don't know. I've not had my coffee yet. I'm about 24. I came as a backpacker, backpacked through Thailand. My partner my mate who I was traveling with, fell in love with a Thai boy called Bang, surprisingly, and ended up leaving me in Koh Phangan. And so I came straight to Australia, and I got a job about a week into being here at Ogilvy, and that was because I'd run out of money by then, and that was my start in Australia, and then it's all gone on from there. So it's been a while now, I think.
That's pretty epic to come over to Australia and get a job in Ogilvy. That's not an easy thing to do. I'm quite sure people, especially people in advertising, even right now, will give their left leg to get to that.
It would. I think the thing is, I've done a bit of stuff in the UK. We were talking before the show that I'd helped build the first ever e-commerce site in the UK for Marks and Sparks. And I think, when in that period, when you came to Australia, if you'd done anything in digital marketing, you were seen as like a guru. So they took me on as like head of digital. And then I slowly over the years got demoted as they realized that I didn't really know what I was talking about.
That is bold.
Yeah, but I talked a good talk when I arrived, but one of the things that happened when I arrived is I had no clothes because I'd been backpacking. I had about $100, so I went to Portman's, good old Portman's. Yeah. You can buy an entire outfit in Portman's for like $20, and I bought like one skirt and 2 tops, which I used to wash each night, but I only had flip-flops. So my first month working at Ogilvy as head of digital, I used to wear flip-flops. Thongs, I think they call them over here. Is that what they call thongs? Thongs are something else where I come from.
Well, it's flip-flops in the UK and the States. We were talking about this the other day. Jandals in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And thongs here.
Yes. So I had to wear flip-flops every day into like big meetings with like Qantas and Telstra, and just pretend that I was a wacky creative person. But really it's because I couldn't afford to buy any shoes until I got my first. There you go.
That resonates hard with me. I did the same thing, and I found myself having to, growing up in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, having to kind of go to op shops, buy the coolest, quirkiest thing in there, and then chop it up and make it look cool. And I was making trends left, right, and centre, but they had no clue. It's because I couldn't afford all the Louis Vuitton, and
Exactly. Well, we were just trendsetters. What can we say?
Or really, really poor people that couldn't afford.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what? Even if I could have afforded it, I would never have bought it anyway.
No, even though I can now, I still don't. So there you go.
Yeah. So what's your superpower? What is it that makes you tick? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
I think I've got boundless ideas and enthusiasm. So every day I'm like, oh, I could do this. And unlike, I guess, the edge to that in terms of what I do for a living is that I actually do the thing. So lots of people have a lot of ideas, but they don't implement, they don't actually make it happen. And I've become very good at kind of having the idea, evaluating. I've got 3 things that I evaluate everything I do by. And it's will it make me money? Do people want it? And will I enjoy it? And if it ticks all those 3 boxes, then I'm pretty good at going, okay, let's make this happen, and seeing how to make it happen and making that idea a real thing within a couple of weeks rather than a couple of years. So I think that's my skill, creativity, but actually creativity that actually turns into something rather than just up in the air,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's, look, going back to the three things that you just said, the last one that strikes a note with me is, will I enjoy it? I mean, I'm quite sure across your career you've done things that you haven't really wanted to do and haven't really enjoyed because it brought money. Is that something that you've just kind of grown into? Is that something that's you've grown with, like matured into, and just realized that, hey, I want to do this shit because I enjoy it?
I think it's a huge luxury to be able to do what you enjoy, not necessarily what makes you money. So I think I had to make some money before I could make that a reality. Do you know what I mean? Like, I had to have a bit of money behind me to be able to take that luxury. But it's also about sacrifices and choices. Like, you know, I don't live in Sydney in a big fancy house. I don't drive a posh car. You know, I've made different choices so that I can have a more enjoyable, to me, life. You know, sacrifice. I worked in big agencies, as we were talking about, gave that all up, partially because I got up the duff, got pregnant and couldn't keep the job. But obviously it was a lifestyle choice as well. And gave that all up, you know, and started my own freelance career and went back to zero, and then spent, you know, tried to build back to the salary I'd had before. So I think it's a conscious choice, but there's no glamour or romance about being poor. So, you know, if it came to it, I would sacrifice the enjoyment for the money. Do you know what I mean? It's a luxury that I have now, but I didn't have early on.
Well, I mean, look, again, everything you're saying just resonates deeply, like, in here with me, and it's something that kind of I feel like I've also, you know, when I was younger, it was about amassing things and getting stuff and clothes, and because I didn't have and couldn't afford, and then I had a period in my life when I was like, oh, I can afford it, so I'm going to buy all this stuff now. And now it's sitting in a storage unit, actually 2 storage units in the middle of whoop whoop somewhere, because I've got all these stuff and all these things. And making that transition, and making a conscious effort to choose experiences over stuff and things.
Preach. That's exactly where I'm at. And I like, in my business, like, things kind of went okay for a bit, and then they kind of went boom. Like, in 1 year, everything just went boom, and suddenly I had money, and I'm like, you have never had money. I've had debt. I've been, you know, not like poverty stricken, like real poverty, but I've never had money to throw around. And then all of a sudden I had money, and I had no idea what to do with it. And I always say I found myself sort of replacing perfectly good cushions with new cushions. You know, there's just nothing I particularly need or want. And that can be kind of weird, because if you don't have that carrot on the end of your stick, it's just a stick, you know, like, what are you doing this for? And it was actually quite a transitional period for me to go, okay, well, you know, not that I'm rolling around in a bath full of $20 notes and champagne, but I'm not struggling anymore. Okay, what does life look like now? Why am I doing this? Why am I even having a business? What, you know what I mean? It took away my motivation a little for about a good year, I think.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, like, especially for creatives, the struggle, it is actually important. That's part of it. That's the good shit. The grit and the grind and the pulling and the pushing and the struggle. And everybody, not everybody, but there's so many people out there that will say it shouldn't be that hard. I'm like, I'm sorry, but it should be that hard.
It should.
And that's where stuff comes from.
It is. And I don't know if you've read that book by Mark Ronson. Maybe he's the DJ. The Subtle Art of Giving a Whatever. And yes, and he talks about to succeed, you've got to enjoy the struggle. You know, if you're going to be a marathon runner, you have to get some pleasure out of waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning and running in the dark, not just the actual marathon day. And as a business owner or creative, you have to enjoy the bits where you're not making money and no one's seeing what you're doing and you're just beavering away. You can't just enjoy your moment in the sun. And I think too often in this kind of online world that we live in, this entrepreneurial world, that all they sell is the end result, and they don't show the horrible struggle to get you there. You know, they show the swan gliding along the river, but they don't show the little swan's legs doing that.
Yeah, and on that, Kate, like, I talk about this a lot, and I actually haven't had this conversation on air about it, but the reality of it is entrepreneurship has been so well marketed that it's stupid. And there's all these people, and I know that we're in the golden era of small business startup and all the rest of it. I mean, look at this last decade's what been startup. If I had $1 for every time I heard startup and kind of startup and entrepreneurship and entrepreneur courses and entrepreneur freaking certification, like, I certainly wouldn't need to do what we do. But I think it's sad because people get this sold this idea that entrepreneurship is this get rich quick scheme, that it's just got one idea, this one thing, and it's not for everybody. And then you get people failing at a rate of knots, and I find it really sad. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I think you're absolutely, it's definitely not for everybody. I think you have to have a certain personality type to be able to do it, to self-motivate, especially if you work on your own, which a lot of entrepreneurs do, to get up every morning, self-motivate yourself to do work day after day, to get up after failures and embarrassments and things flopping and still come back and do it again. It's incredibly hard, but it's not just that. It's having the emotional and mindset strength to deal with criticism and negative feedback, having the financial nous to not get yourself in terrible debt and spend money on things you shouldn't, having the organizational nous to not give away too much time on certain, it's a whole thing, and it comes with practice. I mean, obviously I started off, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I've got better, but I do see a lot of people being sold the dream and being sold the dream that anyone can do it. And the truth is, if everyone could do it, we'd all be millionaires, just like anything else, You
know what's really funny? I mean, I don't know if anybody's stitched this together yet, but you know how many incredible entrepreneur stories we hear about people not finishing high school, about coming over great adversity, and through and they take that story and they sell it and they push it because it's just like, wow. And the stupid thing is, that's like most entrepreneurs come from that great struggle. So it just, for me, an entrepreneur is a kind of person. It's almost like being, you're either good at numbers or you're not. It's not something you can learn. And I think people want to teach people to be entrepreneurs.
Well, I think what people do is because they want to make a buck, they teach their method, how they did it. But that worked for them and their unique circumstances. And you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Yes, they were working here and this terrible thing happened and blah, blah, blah. But you don't know if they've got a rich partner, they've got rich parents, they've had investment. You just don't see what goes on behind the scenes. So following someone else's methodology too closely is not necessarily going to give the same results, because, there's sometimes as well, it's just plain luck, it's just the right time.
That's it. And you know what? That following somebody else's methodology is not being an entrepreneur.
No, exactly. It's really not. It's that's the irony. That's the irony. I know, but yes, yeah.
I love it. Listen, because I read your obviously your application. This is an interview. And what did I write? What got me, which I thought was super cool, because we've interviewed over 100 people since we started, which is crazy daisies. And we've only been going for, I think, a month and a bit. So I think it's epic. I'm really proud of what we've created. And again, thank you very much for joining us and being part of the growth. But you were a chat line operator.
Oh, God. You said you were going to bring this up. Yes, I was. I have it in my book. I wrote about this in my book. I very briefly, I was producing plays at university, and one of my mates got a job working as a chat line operator. She was an actress, and it was really good for her because she could put on all these characters, and she really enjoyed the kind of the role play that she was doing. It was really good for her acting. So, but it was also really good money, back then. So I went along to do it, and I got fired within, I think it was an hour and a half. Because the thing is, you've got to keep them on the phone, and it's weird. And I'm like, how's your day? What are you doing today? Like, what did you have for breakfast? And they're like, what are you wearing? And I'm like, a jumper and some. But and the thing is as well, it was the most unsexy environment. It was above, I think, an Indian takeaway in a little room, and a lot of the other women were like, middle-aged, in the early 60s, some of them, and they were knitting on while they're and reading like chat magazines, like trashy magazines, while they were talking to people on the phone saying, oh yes, big boy, yes, yeah, put it in, big boy, or whatever they were saying. So you can see how good I was dead good. I can't even do it now. It taught me a lot about it taught me a lot about human nature, and a lot about sales, and about being authentic. So I'll take some business lessons from it.
It doesn't stop there. Like, I'm literally sitting here going, who are you, me? You've tried everything. It's so good. You're like, you were a masseuse?
Yes, I did try being a masseuse.
A gibbon keeper?
Yeah, I did look after gibbons. Yeah, it's been, because the thing is, I guess, you know, I've always worked in like corporate world, like not corporate world, but ad agents or whatever. Had a 9 to 5 job. You know, I did everything I was supposed to. Went to university, got a job, did the things. But then every once in a while, I was like, I don't want to be doing this. There's something else. I want something more. So I'll go off and spend a year in Thailand and I'll look after gibbons. Oh no, I'm going to give it all up and train to be a masseuse. Those paths didn't work out. But ultimately, I did end up giving it all up, and I did find my thing. It wasn't gibbon keeping, although what I do now is slightly similar to gibbon keeping, I would say. And there's a bit of sex chat line operating in there somewhere. But I think it shows the fact that I was trying to get off the path. But it just took I had to take the right turn, not just any old turn, you know.
Do you think that maybe you were trying to necessarily get off the path, but you were creating your own?
No, I think I just really wanted to escape corporate. I've never liked having a boss. You know, I've always really struggled, not with authority necessarily, but just with doing what I'm told. Even now in my own business, I almost have to write. You can see here, like, this is my to-do list that yesterday me wrote. Because I have to try and keep myself accountable to yesterday me, because otherwise I'd come in every day and be like, oh, let's do this. And like, no, you've already committed to this, this, and this, and people are waiting. You have to finish that. So I'm not very good at having a boss. And I think I was just railing against that until I finally broke free.
Yeah. And
like a gibbon.
Like a gibbon. Except you weren't, because you were keeping them.
Yeah, they're evil creatures, by the way, just so you know. They're not cute in any kind of way. They're very evil.
I wouldn't have gotten that. It's not a thing. Yeah, no, that maybe the little like spider monkeys. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so gibbon keeper. So far, people, if you're just joining us, we've had chat line operator, masseuse, gibbon keeper, radio DJ.
Yes, that was fun. I had a show called Kate Toon in the afternoon. Brilliant. Yeah, that was fun. And I think that's led me into podcasting. I've got 3 podcasts now that I do. And that's probably like doing this. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to interview people. And, you know, yeah, Hayley, we're like sisters from another mister.
I'm literally sitting there. We should, let's do this. Let's like look at each other as we're talking. Like, go the other way.
Oh, you've got better hair though. My hair's. I feel embarrassed about my hair. I can't stop fiddling.
I'm all flat and lanky. Yours is all big and body. I love it.
Duffy. Yeah, whatever.
No, go on. Let's carry on talking about the radio DJ thing, because I mean, these jobs are things like most people. This is what I'm trying to get my head wrapped around. Is that these jobs you've gotten into with no experience? You've just walked into these things and started doing them. And I'm not like, people would give their left leg, especially in this day and age, to have a go at having their own radio show. And I know we've got, you know, vlogs and kind of podcasts and stuff that now, but there's still nothing better than having like a, you know, like that pedestal gig on a radio show.
Yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't a big radio station. I think the thing is, that was a lot of those jobs. Well, no, not all of them. That was in my youth, and I was a lot more cavalier in my youth. Like I really wanted to interview. I used to have a job writing reviews and interviews for the local paper as well. And I'd just be like, oh, I really want to interview Blur. There was a band called Blur back in my day. They were big. And Pulp or whatever. And I'd be like, I'd like to interview them. So I would just literally walk up to the band after the gig and say, can I interview you? And they'd say yes. And, you know, now I wouldn't have the balls to do that, you know, but back then I did. And I think even now, it's only really actually in the last couple of years where I've actually started to look around and realize how many other people do what I do. And the fact that who the hell am I to even be trying to do this? Because up till then, I've just been like, oh, well, I'll give it a pop. We'll see what happens. I think it's when you start looking what everyone else is doing that your inferiority complex comes on, your comparisonitis, your imposter syndrome. But if you just manage to keep your head down and keep your blinkers up, you can actually go along very merrily and do all the things because you're not worrying that you're going to be judged against other people. So it's really only in the last couple of years that I've kind of, the imposter syndrome and stuff has crept in, because now a few more people know who I am. They're like, oh, you're a bit like this person. I'm like, who? And then I go, oh my God, this person's way better than me. What have I been doing with my life? You know, so it's funny.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, like going back to kind of like assumptions as well. Like everybody makes assumptions. You make assumptions about yourself.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. Like, and that's inside your own head. what are some of the things that you do to try, we're talking about the imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff, and I made a phone call to my mate the other night because I go through the same stuff, right? So what's some of the stuff that you do to try and get yourself through it and pull yourself through it? Because I know that you beat it.
Yeah, I do. I'm actually writing a book about it at the moment. It's called Be More Shark, my next book. And it's about being fearless and brave in business. I think my biggest imposter syndrome happened last year. I was invited to go and speak at an event in the Netherlands with my peers. So one of my business areas is search engine optimization. Sounds very dry, and it can be. And I was going to present in front of the people from whom I'd learned how to do this. It's going to be on stage with like my idols presenting, you know. And I was going on my own to a foreign country. I know that sounds really lame, but I hadn't traveled for a while, you know. It was huge, and I don't know if I coped with it very well. I think I just thought, I will do my best. I generally think that, 99% of your audience, wherever they may be, want you to succeed. And there's a 1% that don't. And that really all you can do is do your best. And what's the worst that can happen? Like if I'd gone, it had been terrible. Only the 300 people in the room would have seen that be terrible. I could have come away and said, look, I learned from it, blah, blah. I don't really know how I get through it. I think if I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. And I will just, but believe me, it does not happen without sleepless night and angst. That's still there. It goes away a little bit more every year I do this. And it's, it's so cheesy, but it is just believing that, yes, this person may be smarter than you, but, what have I got? And I think I'm quite funny and I'm quite entertaining when I present, and I make dry topics interesting. So yeah, you can know more than me, but the audience might get more out of me because I'm a better presenter or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I've got bigger boobs, or I don't know, whatever it may. I haven't got big boobs, but I could have big boobs. That could be my thing. We've all got something, is what I'm saying. Whether it's
again, you're preaching, because for me, like, I have over my career, I have met so many people with so many wonderful concepts and ideas, and the content is amazing. And look, they may have an amazing product, but the delivery of that product is everything. It is important how you look. It's important how you put yourself out there. And if you miss that mark, you can have something really freaking amazing and you'll fail to launch because the rest of it's not happening. Like you just said, like, you'll get up on stage, and of course there's always going to be people that are better than you, that know more than you. And if you're in that room and you don't have people in the room that know more than you, you're in the wrong goddamn room anyway. But the way that you deliver it and how you put your spin on it and everything else, it's all about engagement.
It is.
Yeah.
And there can be, like you, I've been doing this daily podcast during COVID. In the last month, I've spoken to like 30, 40 people, all really smart, whatever. It's been such an adventure. And maybe like one of the things I realized, I spoke to like 3 different people who teach podcasting. Yeah. They say they're podcasting courses and launches. 3 different people literally doing the same thing, similar price point, all doing really, really well, because this person's kind of maybe very girly and has a very girly brand and is kind of like giggly and blowing confetti. And this person's very serious and analytical and is more into the tech and the whatever, and a bit drier, This person's more like wholesome and kind of mumsy and whatever. And they all have an audience. They're all teaching the same thing, but who am I drawn to? I'm drawn to this person because I see something in them that I recognize in me, and I like their vibe. And so I want to learn from them. I may also buy the other person's course as well. It's not, this is what I mean. I think I don't necessarily 100% believe in abundance, that there's enough for everybody. I think, we do have to claim our piece of the pie to a degree, but somebody's going to like your pie because it's your pie, and there's not much you can do about that. As long as you are authentically being your 100% you pie, then that's all you can really do. So I've really tried over the last couple of years to just try and be more me, however that is, and know that some people won't like it, and that's okay, but that the people who do like it, genuinely like what I offer, and therefore they're not judging me on my product necessarily, or even my price. Sometimes they're judging it on me and whether they like me or not,
And this is stuff that, and every time I have these conversations and I meet incredible people like yourself, Kate, there's always one common theme, and it is relationships.
Yes.
Communication, knowing, liking, and trusting. But the thing is, people are trying to figure out these hacks. How do I get people to know, like, and trust me? I'm like, how's about you start with being a good person?
Yeah.
Be a good person, have great intention, do the right thing, and the energy, because you have to believe in energy, I think, at the base of all of it, with the relationships and communication. If you believe in good quality, high level energy, not necessarily crazy energy or like erratic energy, high level, high quality energy, it's all just going to happen. And it's not an airy fairy way to think, so that no matter what you're doing intentionally, every step of the way, if you have that good quality energy, all the good stuff's going to attract to you. And that at the base is the law of attraction.
It is. And I think also you feel good about what you're doing. Whenever I've tried to take a shortcut or tried to emulate somebody else, it's never quite worked out for me. I'll tell you a daft story. I remember I wanted to make some videos for my course, and there's a I won't mention names, so there's a very kind of well-known entrepreneur female who always looks so glamorous in her videos, and they're all set up, and she's got like a little pot plant here and a white sofa, and I was like, I'm going to be like her. And I even got like fake bits of hair to put in my hair, and I put them in, and I've got these videos where I'm like, hello, I'm Kate Toon, and they are awful. I've still got them. I should share them on social media. They are so bad. And then I'm like, look, this is how I am. I'm a bit scruffy. I don't wear makeup. When people get inside my courses and stuff, they're going to see this, not that. So it's better that they see it now. But every time I've tried to be like someone else or hack or take a shortcut or done something because I thought it might work for my business rather than because I really genuinely believed in it, it's always gone sour. You know, it's all for me as well. Like I felt a bit like, I shouldn't have done that. It's like when you have a burger from Burger King, feels like a great idea before you have it. And as soon as you've had that burger from Burger King, you're like, ew, why did I eat that? Yeah, that's the way I feel.
Like, again, preaching to the freaking choir. Been there, done that. Same thing. I'm literally looking, and I keep this on the desk for a reason, right? There's a photo here. This is me being an imposter.
Oh, look at the hand. I am loving that hand.
And you know why I keep it? Because the two people behind me.
Can we do it?
Yeah, we can. Okay, ready? Are we going to do it together?
You've got the finger. You can even still do the fingers. You have to practice next. You have to put some confetti in your hands, and you have to go, and then laugh.
Oh, everything's great. I keep that on my desk to remind me that this is who I am.
Yeah.
You know, wearing, usually I've got sneakers. Today I've got my boots on because it's just, you know, it's getting to booty weather. And like, for me, it's a shame. And I just wish, you know, when people ask you that question, what would you tell your younger selves? I would find 100 ways to tell someone how just to be themselves. And this is it. This is what we've created Obsess for. This is why we invite amazing people like you onto our show, so that we can lead in being ourselves and being okay with it. Because the power in that, Kate, is you can't package it.
You can't. It's just so exhausting trying to be what you're not. And everything you do will be harder. Every post you have to write on socials, every interaction you have is just hard. Whereas if you be yourself, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, and this is the thing, part of having like a brand and whatever is accepting what your bad bits are as well. Like, you know, we're all like, oh, you could say, you know, I'm creative and I'm this, but also I'm quite erratic. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm good some days and I'm bad the next, you know, I'm very emotional. So, you know, I get quite involved in what I do. Those aren't necessarily great business attributes, but unless I embrace them and I show them, they're going to come out anyway. They will come out because if I'm honest, they will just pop out. So instead I embrace it and I talk about being not consistent, being an erratic business owner and how that works for me. And it does work. But I think you've got to embrace your bad points as well and show them, you know, so not just being your best self, but liking your worst self as well and understanding it, you know, because you're stuck with you, aren't you, for the rest of your blooming life. So you may as well start liking yourself.
Well, the worst things can also be, I know that for me, like my best superpower is also my worst superpower.
Oh, what's that?
It's just my erratic, my fastness, my hyperactivity, my ADHD.
You're so the same. That's what I mean about the creative thing. It's brilliant, but it's bloody annoying for my team and for me when it's like, oh, no. I know I said I wanted to do this, and this. Now I want to do this, and this. And they're like, oh, for the love of God. Yeah. Like,
this is just one in here. There's a whole bunch out there as well that they're just like, for fuck's sake, she's here.
No, don't make direct eye contact with her. She's going to have an idea.
Oh, this is epic. I so love it.
Yeah. Oh, okay, redder and redder as this goes on. I don't know what's going on.
Who cares? I love it.
Okay.
I love, and this is what we do it for. Look, ladies, I'm getting so mucho inspired.
Oh, look,
it's nice. It's nice because, again, having these conversations and actually talking about, because I went through life, Kate, where people be like, "Oh, you're too fast. You need to, slow down."
Calm down.
And I'd be like, "Speed up."
Yeah.
I used to get offended, but as I've grown through my life and matured, I've gone, hang on a second. It's not okay for me to kind of just go, I'm going to be the way I am. Fuck you and fuck the world. Yeah. That's okay to a certain degree. But part of being a good human and being able to be, especially being the business that I'm in, you have to, it's okay to have who you are, but you can also have and Simone de Haas actually explained it to me in this way, a dial that you can.
I was just about to say that. You can dial it up, you can dial it down. Yeah, exactly. Out of respect to my team, like I literally I use a sauna to plan all my projects, yeah. And I literally have one little area in a sauna that they can't see where I dump all the ideas. And then what I do is, as I can see that they're getting to the end of a task, I gently try and introduce the new idea. And I constantly say to them, is everything okay? Are you spinning all the existing plates? Can I add a new plate yet? And sometimes they're like, no, we can't add a new plate yet. And I'm like, okay, I'll wait. And I have to do that because otherwise no one would ever want to work with me. I'd be a nightmare, So.
For people. And thing is, awareness is everything, right? And being aware of how you are and how you're being. And when I talk a lot about how you make people feel. And as simple as that sounds, and people just go, that's not any revelation. I'm like, I'm sorry, but it is. Because if you are more focused on how you make people feel, you're winning. You're winning. And not in a way to manipulate people, just in a way to kind of have a respectful interaction with someone. And you can then start to kind of really curate how you really want someone to feel and be able to walk away and it be life-changing, because that's what I want. I know that what I do, I know my intention is on point, and I know that I'm always trying to do things for impact. So I don't need to kind of reconcile myself and be like, oh, I'm just trying to do it. I'm never trying to rip anybody off or screw anybody over. So that, for me, I'm at peace with that. Then I've just got to take the steps to go, okay, well, if I know I've got this superpower to help people, how can I best communicate with people? And that starts with me and being able to dial down, change, quiet, go through the frequencies in order to be able to reach more people and impact.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've been talking about this a lot recently about, the me, myself and I in my business, and looking at myself and going, oh, look at me doing that. Why am I doing that? That's interesting that I'm reacting in that way. And, oh, look, this triggered me a little bit and made me feel a certain way. That's interesting. Whereas a couple of years ago, I was just one blob. There was one blob just blobbing around, having reactions and emotions. Now I'm much better able to kind of look at how I'm behaving and go, okay, that's not great, or to moderate how I respond to people, or what messages I put out, or and to not necessarily. I used to be very like this, and I'm still like this, but I'm much better able to kind of present a more even keel, and that's not me being fake. It's just understanding that my words and actions have an impact on people, exactly as you said. And I can't just bounce around the world not expecting to not hurt people, but have an impact on people. I've got to tone it down a bit sometimes,
like, I don't know if this is the same for you, but because I've battled with it for years and years. Because I do have the ability to kind of rock up in a t-shirt and jeans and I can put on a dress and I do all that stuff. And it's not because I'm being fake. It's because I have had someone say to me before, oh, you don't have a style. I'm like, well, my style is I don't have a style. My style is anything.
up. I like dressing down. I can turn up in jeans and trainers, or sometimes I like to wear a posh frock and do my hair. But that's the whole point, isn't it? That you're just being you all the time. That's your style. That's your brand. You know, I don't know. I actually can't bear the kind of business people and whatever who just present this one-sided facade. You know, their Instagram is always perfect. Their kids are always scrubbed. Their hands are always like this. You know, I can't bear that, you know, because I just don't believe it. And I know that they don't believe it. And then you get to speak to them and they're not like that in real life. And then there's that disconnect. And then you're like, I know you, I like you, but the trust is maybe a bit weird now because half of what you said doesn't sound like it's actually true. It's, yeah.
I love it. I literally we're over like 35 minutes over, but I'm like quite keen to keep talking to you.
We'll have to have another chat. We'll have to go for a beer or something and have a separate.
Well, they're going to let us out, aren't they? They're letting us out of our cages shortly, aren't we?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever be allowed back out of my cage. I want them to. I think they're throwing away the key.
Gibbons.
Yes, those gibbons. We'll always come back to them.
You know what? It's so refreshing. It's so refreshing to be able to speak to somebody that truly gets what authenticity is. Because, you know, I stopped using that word because it was used as a like, if you're fucking authentic, mate, you shouldn't have to be ramming that down people's throat. What's really funny is you can actually fake authenticity.
Of course. And if you're somebody that says repeatedly that you're authentic, then you're probably not. It's hard though. I mean, I do think that there's consequences to being a bit more out there, being a bit more yourself, being kind of more up and down, being scruffy, being smart, this kind of more erratic nature that we have. I think if we were more vanilla, we would have more, maybe probably more followers, more likers, more people buying our product because we're presenting a dream of what they think they could be. And that's appealing to a lot of people. Although we said at the beginning of this recording that there's a bit of a lie that we're being sold about entrepreneurship. People like believing the lie because they want to believe that this $27 course is going to be the thing. People want to believe that. And if you're somebody that bursts bubbles, some people don't like that. They don't want to be they want to believe the dream. So there's a challenge, you know.
Bubble burster and I think in the past people have perceived it as like me being mean. I'm like, I'm not mean. It's just I nothing grinds my gears more than wasting time telling somebody that I can't, like, it's like watching American Idol or Australian Idol or something, and you're sitting there and you're just going, who on God's planet told that person that they could sing? Like, you're doing a disservice. I've had it people, graphic designers, because we've got in-house graphic designers where they're applying for jobs, and I'm sitting in the interview going, you're a shit graphic designer, and they're like, what? And I'm like, but then I found myself counselling them, you know, I'm like, packaging design. And they're like, oh, my God, really? I'm like, that's what you should be doing. I can't offer a job, but I can offer you some life advice. If you continue down this path, you'll be very unhappy because you crap at it. You know, and on that note, we've got to exit stage left because I've got another thing to roll to. But, mate, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for being so honest, so open, so real and raw. It's what we expect and what we crave and what we want more of in Obsessed Hub. And if we can find more people like you that are brave enough just to sit in their power and be themselves, then, oh my God, I just want to keep this obsessed thing going forever and ever. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll have you back. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye, darling.
Bye.